We're off to a roaring start here on our Extra Point Overtime show. I'm Royden Ogletree, joined alongside, as always, by Chad Vautherine. Chad, we got some great football going on in Central Texas right now.
It's been a long but good night. I mean, we lots of points scored, and for week one, I mean, we've seen some teams put up 50, 60 points, 70 points even.
Yeah.
That doesn't normally happen in week one. I mean, we had a great slate of games. I'm excited to get all into this.
Yeah, defenses are starting to get rolling. Speaking of great games, our week one marquee matchup goes to Robinson and West. This one was an instant classic as Robinson came away with it in triple overtime last year. Could we see another classic again? The West Trojans host the Robinson Rockets at Trojan Stadium less than 2 minutes in as we shake some hands here, have some greetings, some pleasantries. Less than 2 minutes in, Bryce McCurdy gets a snap, bombing it deep. Dylan Medlock catching the touchdown. You'll probably see that a lot this year. Rockets take the lead, 7-0. Trojans on offense. Dub Crane takes the snap, hands it to Aiden Rideout, who loses the ball, shooting it into the air. It'd be caught by Dylan Anderson, turning it around for Robinson. The score stands at 7-0. Robinson would eventually get the ball back as they are now on offense, inches from the end zone. Bryce McCurdy calling a man in motion, takes the snap right up the middle with Evan Moreno. Again, you'll hear that name a lot this year. It takes a 14-0 lead. Robinson on top. Again, Robinson with the ball on offense, as they are known to do. McCurdy takes a snap and finds his man, Jevin Munns, who catches it over the shoulder. Wide open, 21-0, Rockets rolling. West on offense, a yard away from the end zone. Dub Crane takes the snap, hands it to Aiden Rideout, who takes it in for the Trojans. Touchdown, 21-7. So we take a look at the final score. That would be the only score that Robinson would allow. Robinson goes on to win 35-7. And let's talk to the man himself, Kevin Brown, the new head coach of the Robinson Rockets. Coach, how y'all doing? First win in your tenure for Robinson. First win as a head coach. How's it feel?
Feels great. Proud of the kids. Came out relatively healthy. Went to a tough environment, and our crowd showed up. Kids played hard and came out with a win, so couldn't be more excited about it.
Coach, I know y'all have a nice mix of some veteran experience coming back and obviously some guys that are still young, but you obviously have to know West returned almost every single one of their starters from the season before, just so experienced. I mean, how impressed were just, the poise and the confidence of your guys tonight?
Very proud of them. We told them, they do a lot of stuff on defense, and that was a dogfight. I mean, it was 35-7, but we turned it over twice, backed up. Defense stopped them. They got it again in the red zone. The drive after the half, I think, chewed up probably 7 minutes, and our defense tightened up in the red zone. So that very easily could have been a 35-28 ball game. So a lot of credit to West and their coaches. They're extremely tough to prepare for. So we knew it was going to be a dogfight, but we kept punching, and finally Evan Moreno broke one late to kind of break it open. But that was tight for quite a bit.
Coach, you mentioned Evan Moreno there. He's kind of part of a 1-2 punch, a two-headed monster, if you will, between he and Bryce McCurdy. What did you make of that duo tonight?
Well, I think when you play us, you got to decide what you're going to stop. And Bryce is a great talent, and obviously you guys mentioned Dylan Medlock. He's catching a lot of balls now. So, a lot of times that'll make the safety roll over the top of Dylan, which gives you favorable numbers in the box, which you hand it to Evan, and now you got a numbers advantage. So, and if you stack the box, you're leaving Dylan one-on-one. So they complement each other well. And then, Bryce made some plays with his feet tonight, a couple of third and long conversions with his feet. They dropped 8, and Bryce went through his progression and got the first down with his legs and extended that last drive where Evan took the next play 60 yards. If we don't get it on third and long backed up, that's 21-7, and we're punting back to him.
Coach, I'm curious, when we talked to you a couple weeks ago or two-a-days, you kind of told us, there's good systems in place here at Robinson. You kind of want to just let your players play and work to their skill set. How much have you had to maybe balance that the last couple weeks in tonight's game and versus kind of putting your own spin on this team? And obviously it worked for y'all, but what was that balance kind of like tonight for you?
Well, I think you go into every ball game and you say, Evan's got to touch it X amount of times, Dylan's got to touch it X amount of times, and, you build it around your personnel. And, what West does on defense, you're going to be guessing, and they're going to guess right sometimes, they're going to guess wrong sometimes. So you really couldn't get the ball down the field as much as you wanted to some of our kids. Credit to West, they take away what you do best. But, that's going to be a give and take each week, what the defense presents, and also trying to get our kids the ball in space.
Coach Kevin Brown for the Robinson Rockets go celebrate after your first head coaching win, your first win at Robinson. Coach, you told us not to work too late. You don't work too late yourself.
I appreciate it. Royden, Chad, appreciate it. Go Rockets. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach. Coach Kevin Brown of the Robinson Rockets. Let's move on with some highlights now, shall we?
And he's going to have a great tenure over in Robinson. Well, out in Marlin, award-winning band. They've got the cymbals rolling in the stands. Marlin hosting Lexington. It was tied at 14 in the second quarter. Royden, you can't do anything about that catch right there. That was Case Evans to Weston Byer, holding it in the end zone. Great play. Lexington takes a 21-14 lead, but very next play, they kick off to Marlin. They just probably should have kicked it to somebody else because Keyshawn Massington, 70 yards plus on the return, gets taken down inside the 10. And he probably
He's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive.
He is the fastest kid alive. And maybe would have wished he would have scored because they actually fumbled a couple plays later inside the 5, 3rd and goal. Lexington recovers, and that would eventually turn into points for Lexington. And Lexington, especially in the second half, runs away with this one, 55-26. Marlin's got some work to do for week 2.
Yeah, tough beat for Marlin. Hillsborough traveling down I-35 to take on McGregor. Hillsborough won this game going away last year as we see McGregor running out. In the first, Josie Lopez pitches to Braylon Benson. Benson breaking tackles, arm tackles, says, "Get off of me, I'm heading towards the end zone." Eagles up 6-0.
That is a star in the making right here. Just a sophomore, by the way.
Jump ahead to the second. Bubba Zacharias, the best name in football, hands off to Toby Hill, who gets in for the score. Just like that, Bulldogs up 7-6. And check out this play. Lopez going deep, laying it out there. But it's picked off by Andrew Fossum. He says, "Thank you very much." And he's looking to return it for a score. Cuts back inside. Goes sideline to sideline. He's trying to get in. He is eventually walloped. A Eagles player takes out his own man there, but the Bulldogs are in business. And watch this throw. Zacharias looking deep. He finds Dominic Madrone, who makes the diving backwards catch. That ended up in our hot plays. That drive would stall, would set up this field goal to make it 10-7. And we literally just missed all of the scoring as we look at the final score. This one goes into overtime, and Hillsborough wins away with it. Wins it, 58-56. An incredible game out there in McGregor.
Wow, that is a great win for Hillsborough. Well, battle lines are drawn at Leo Buckley, Colleen, Ellison taking on Copper's Cove and the Bulldogs, and that's DAWGS. They scored right off the bat. Craig Davis, he threw a pass to Trayton Callum, who was wide open, and he runs it in for an easy touchdown to put some points on the board. But the Eagles would answer right back with the ball on the 1-yard line. Quarterback Marlon Smith takes hikes right past the defender for an Eagles touchdown, but the Bulldogs get the ball back again. Another pass, this time finds Trayton Callum again, wide open, and runs it all the way in the end zone. A little bit longer this time, so it's now 14-7. Then cut off a little bit, but this is another touchdown. That was Evan Marquise, answers right back in for a score, so that ties the game 14-14. And this one ended up being a great one. Lots of scoring, too. We left right when they started scoring, but Copper's Cove edging it out over Ellison 50-46.
Oh, the joys of filming live. Conley versus Academy, a huge matchup out at Little River Academy. Braden Ford gets the big run for Conley, finding the open field. And that play will set up Caden Kaufman. He drops back and drops it right in the breadbasket for Jamarian Vincent, the Baylor do-it-all man, the Baylor commit rather, the do-it-all man for Conley. Makes it 7-0. First quarter all tied up at 7. Kaufman, watch this play, to KD Linville. Between two defenders, that's mine, thank you very much. 85 yards, outruns the angle, and the rest is history, 13-7 Conley. Later on, Academy quarterback Tyler Hoffman. Well, he will hit Brian Grissom for the wide open TD. It looks like he just sneaks out of the backfield. It's 14-13. Academy with the lead. Conley would go on to win this one in a tight ball game, 33-29 out there at Little River Academy.
That's a great win and a great effort by Tycoon over at Academy. They're going to have a really good season. Well, how about Mart taking on Whitney, down in Whitney, or maybe up wherever you're driving in from. And Whitney was wasting no time getting some points on the board. Fisher Watson's going to score on the QB option. They would end up missing the 2-point conversion, so it was just 6-0 Wildcats early. But then first possession for Mart, they answer right back to Quinn Preston. Punched it in to give the Panthers the 7-6 lead. Lots of offense. They wasting no time in this. In the very next possession, Watson for Whitney is going to find Kobe Hangs. He is going to be a star, and watch this, Royden. He's going to go 75 yards for the touchdown. Whitney, though, would end up coming up just short on that conversion. They need to fix that. 12-7. Later in the quarter, they give it right back to Preston, and he's going to avoid getting tripped up. He's going to find his way back in the end zone. He's been living there all game, so it's 14-7 Panthers.
I feel like Mart always just has huge running backs.
Oh, they are built to play football. And then final seconds of the quarter, Watson, he's going to get it to Haynes again, who's going to end up waltzing his way for an easy score. So Whitney on the top of that one, 16-14, but they would really put some points on the board. 63-34. That's 2 years in a row Whitney taking down Mart to start out the season.
I feel like that Haynes kid's going to get a couple of offers pretty soon.
Maybe
out in
just a
Riesel.
couple.
Out in Riesel, the Indians rematching with the old Clifton Cubbies to open the season. This was a 12-7 final score last year. Slow moving, but Clifton got an upgraded offense. Jackson Ritz over the middle finds Caleb Wiley for the first score of 2025. Clifton up 7-0. Earlier tonight, we talked about the athleticism of quarterback Jackson Ritz. And while they also have him returning punts, he fields this line drive punt, not a punt. And he returns it inside the 15, puts Clifton in great field position, well inside the 15. And a few plays later, Ritz, well, he'd hand it off to Rico De La Hoya. And you be the judge. He says it's a touchdown. Cubs took a 14-0 lead early in the first quarter as we take a look at the final score here. And Clifton runs away with it 27-0 over Riesel.
Nice shutout over the Indians on the road also. Well, what better way to start the season? It was last night down in Belton, UMHB's Crusader Stadium. Midway taking on Round Rock Westwood. Tongue twister there. Midway actually won this game last year, but Westwood would score first. That was Maps Mehies running it in 6-0, but Midway would eventually storm back. They had a new quarterback this year, Andrew McNair. He finds Tyler Seath, who hauls it in, and just like that, 7-6 lead. Wasting no time getting that lead back. We'll jump to the second quarter. McNair is going to hand it off to Lazen Wisenton. He has offers from everybody, Royden, and he did what he did best, breaking tackles, finding the end zone. That's one of what's going to be many touchdowns, and it's 14-6 Midway.
Young Adrian Peterson.
Oh, he looks like it too. We're still in the second here, though. Westwood trying to get something going, but a bad snap, and that was Cooper Waits falling on it, but Cameron Kazoka got up there, the scoop and score, little celebration, great one, and then later it's going to set the Panthers up deep in Westwood territory. McNair found Hayden Brock, hit him perfectly in stride. They went up 21-6 at that point, and Midway, huge week one win, 56-19 the final.
All right, checking in on some 4A play. I butchered this highlight in our regular show, but let's see if we can do it here. Troy Trojans took on Salado at Trojan Stadium. A strong first start for the Eagles. Third play of the game, Devontae Foster takes a quick scan and finds Layden Noski, and Noski is off. Trojans on his tail, but not quite fast enough. The Eagles are on the board. Foster with the throw, pass intended for Salado's Brandon Dinwiddie, but it's picked off by Troy's Jacob Ward. He takes off before he's quickly taken down by the Eagles. Later on, a major play that sets up the Trojans for their first score of the first half. Hunter Fryman, he's looking for an opening, and he finds Troy's Cohen Ketchum, and the Eagles do not catch him, but until the 1 yard line, setting up the Trojans for a first and goal. The next play gets them on the board. It is 10-7 at that point as we take a look at the final score. Salado actually runs away with it in a barn burner, 59-42 out there in Troy.
Salado's going to be a really tough beat this year. Well, Lake Belton traveling to College Station to take on A&M Consolidated, ranked top in the state. Now, after a quarterback battle this offseason, Amarian Moore for A&M Consolidated would get the start, and he faked everyone, including our cameraman. Keeps it himself. 70-yard touchdown, no big deal. They take a 6-3 lead, but then Cameron Roston takes a handoff, he breaks a tackle, and he's in for the 8-yard touchdown. So Tigers with a 13-3 lead now heading into the second quarter. And Amarian Moore, it was the right choice for a starter. He's going to keep it himself, bounces to the outside, this time 44-yard touchdown. Consolidated absolutely in control. And then Broncos finally respond. Mavericks Maddox, the TCU baseball commit, lets it fly to Zion Harness, 56-yard touchdown, so that cuts the lead to just 10. Kind of close game here, but the Tigers had a few tricks up their sleeve before the half. Moore's going to roll out, finds Cooper Johnson in stride of the corner, so it's 30-10, kind of breaking it open right there, and that's what A&M Consolidated would continue to do. 44-17 the final. Lake Belton starting the season 0-1.
Let's take a look at some other 6A scores. We take a look here. Temple, this should be final right now, up 42-18 over Nuevo Leon, a team out of Mexico that travels up to play a couple Central Texas teams this year. Killeen losing last night to Vista Ridge 30-14. Shoemaker winning big over Round Rock in a game that went final last night as well. And Harker Heights gets things started off as they normally do with a win, 52-28 over Cedar Park.
I'm excited for all those Killeen schools, especially Harker Heights. That's going to be awesome. Well, how about some 5A scores? Hey, look at this. Chaparral, 42-16. They finally get Tyrell McCray in a full season. I mean, he came into the program last year in July. You know, he starts off the season, but now look at them bouncing back, 42-16. And this one surprised me, Royden. Keller Central 43, University 17. They're on the road.
Right.
They play some good football up in that DFW area, but still.
I believe University ran away with this game last year, if I'm not mistaken.
They did. So something must have happened up in Keller at Keller Central. And then close game here, Belton playing their usual Belton football. They're back on track, 14-10, really close with Pflugerville, Hendrickson as far as we have for final scores.
Let's take a look at some 4A scores now. Lampasas doing what they do best, scoring points, 52-14 over Fredericksburg. Hillsboro and McGregor, we know that game is final. Hillsboro ran away and won 58-56 in, I believe, double overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Gatesville looks like they're going to get the first win in Jose Aguirre's tenure as the head coach, up 48-15 over Taylor. And La Vega, again, doing what they do best, winning football games, 41-3 over Kennedale.
And Kennedale's not any team. I mean, they made it 4 rounds deep at the playoffs themselves last year. Well, how about some 3A scores? Rogers taking care of business over Groesbeck. Rogers with the new head coach, Casey Carr, 38-21 over the Goats. And then Cameron Yo falling to LaGrange tonight, 41-14, flipped their score there. Fairfield, Cole Collins, that's the name you need to know. He passed for over 3,500 yards last year, and he probably passed for many, many more tonight.
40-plus touchdowns last year?
43 touchdowns, yeah.
Wow.
He's a freak. He has a great arm. 51-13 over Maypearl. Westwood High School over Mejia, 54-6. I know that's a big score, but Westwood High School has one of the best quarterbacks in the country, not to mention Mejia graduating over half their team, really about 75% of their team. They're going to bounce back after that. Rockdale taking care of business over Smithville, 52-36. Then how about Teague? I think we're huge lovers of the Teague Lions here at KWTX. 39-7 over New Waverly. Coach Zach Linscomb doing what he does best, handling teams.
Guaranteed 8 wins every year. It kind of seems like they do that out there in Teague. Let's go to 2A scores. Chilton versus Hearn. Chilton running away with it, 32-12. Bruceville Eddy, look at them getting a win over Meridian, 36-7. Valley Mills, I had a feeling they were going to put up points this year, and they do so against Wortham, 39-0 out there in Wortham. And then Rosebud Lott, also had a feeling they were going to put up points. They always seem to, they were a young team last year, and they're a young team again this year, but they just consistently put up points. 58-0 over Florence. Hamilton up 35-6, and that game actually went final over Millsap. And Moody rebounding big. I don't believe they won a game last year, so they are on the board, 1-0 on the season. Moody 26-7 over Itasca.
That is huge for Moody. They didn't win last year. I think they might have won one game the year before. So starting off right, that's what you want to do. We got a couple more scoreboards to show you. There's some more 2A schools. Junction, Goldthwaite, 40-16. Goldthwaite falling in their season opener. But look at this, Bosqueville. That was to make Mr. Brady Taylor happy. 21-13 over Bartlett. That went final. Dawson taking care of Hubbard 48-0. Hubbard, they're going to bounce back after that. Just believe me when I say that. Holland falling to Burton 36-13. Axtell shutting out Milano 48-0. And then San Saba 27-12 over Grape Creek San Angelo. Great win for San Saba.
Yeah, the Axtell score isn't too surprising when you realize who their quarterback is. Levi Leathers is going to sling it. So let's go on to the next scoreboard. 1A scoreboard brought to you by FSR Roofing. Oglesby taking care of Abbott. This one is surprising. A great matchup there, but 44-38 in overtime. Abbott won, I believe, 12 games last year? They were hard to beat, but Oglesby comes away with it 44-38. Coolidge, 63-18 over Blum. And yeah, that is another surprising score. This one was scheduled. We didn't have it. Penelope, Chester High. We do not have that one on the board right now. And then we have Aquila, 70-0 over Covington. Golson loses 56-0 to Avalon, and Abilene Christian, Jonesboro beats Abilene Christian 59-56. We got some high-scoring stuff going on in Central Texas right now.
And it's not Abilene Christian that you're thinking of. It's Abilene Christian.
Oh, they were playing the college?
Oh,
no,
okay. Not this week.
Okay.
It looks like we don't have a score for Lamina Gorman. If you have that, please send that our way. Three-way and Evant 52-6. That went final yesterday. And then how about Mount Calm? Getting a great win in week one over Greenville Christian. Also last night, 52-6, the final score for that one.
Let's take a look at some private schools now. Prince of Peace falling to Valor Academy in Waco, 68-60. Central Texas Christian gets started off on what they've been calling, I believe, their vengeance tour is what they're out for. 42-35. Great win to get things off where I believe they can go, which is potentially undefeated, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse there. Vanguard putting up points in a hurry. You predicted that they would do this, 68-22. Bishop Riker, that game was canceled yesterday due to lightning is what we learned. So they did not play that game against NIA. And Live Oak in a close one yesterday. This game was moved last minute to Navasota, I believe. 16-12, they get the win, Live Oak. Well, that is all our time on the Extra Point Overtime show. What would you give your grade? Grade yourself.
Well, good B for this week, yeah. But it's week one. I think kind of like a lot of these teams, we're kind of shaking off the dust a little bit.
Yeah.
There's jitters there. We haven't done this in 9-10 months. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well, I give myself a D-, but that's notwithstanding. Thank you so much for joining us on the Extra Point Overtime show. You can catch us here every Friday night at 11 o'clock and at 10:15 for our regularly scheduled Extra Point show. Y'all have a good night.